Hello and welcome to Writing Effective Online Pitches via DC Kiva Hub, hosted by DSLBD's District Capitalized program. It's part of our Money Mondays series brought to you by the Innovation and Equitable Development Team, Inno.ed. We're glad that you can join us. A little bit about DSLBD if you're new to us. We're a DC government agency and we focus on the economic development and retention of DC-based businesses throughout our DC corridors. And to support that vision that every entrepreneur like yourself and a business with a great idea and a great plan that you can access capital to make that happen. And the Inno.ed team does that by providing access to capital assistance through our district capitalized program, products, and guidance. And we have a wealth of other free programs and services to help you, your DC-based business, including our Certified Business Enterprise Program, CBE, our Made in DC certification program, the DCBusinessToolkit.com, along with the citywide business calendar located in the toolkit. We Aspire, which is a program for businesses and entrepreneurs who are justice involved. Our DC PTAC, DC Procurement Technical Assistance Center, if you're interested in contracting with the DC government or the federal government, they're a great resource to have. And then finally, our DC Main Streets and DC Clean Teams, which help the businesses within a certain corridor, as well as to keep the corridor clean itself. And there's a lot more products and services that we offer at dslbd.dc.gov. So be sure to check that out. I mentioned one of our access to capital initiatives through DSLBD is our district capitalized program, which coordinates the products, guidance, and the partners who are helping DC businesses and DC residents exploring entrepreneurship. We coordinate it in one place, we get the information out to you, and we also manage some programs directly, like the Kiva crowdfunding loan product, which we'll be talking about today, and weekly series of Money Mondays. And you can stay informed about all district capitalized resources by signing up at bit.ly/district capitalized alerts. The Money Monday series are webinars, more intensive workshops like this. We do demos, we meet funders, we do peer networking. And to give you an idea of some of the guidance coming up through the Money Mondays, next Monday at 2 p.m. is our official kickoff of the DC Kiva Hub with Director Whitfield, representatives from Kiva US, and borrowers and trustees have used the program. So we encourage you to join us next Monday at 2 o'clock. It'll be followed by an abbreviated version of our borrower information session at 3 o'clock. If you want a full deeper dive of the session, we're offering that again on June 7th. And then some of the other classes that are giving in-depth workshops on parts of your pitch are coming up, including the loan ask on the 24th, business photos on the 2nd, which is actually a Wednesday, but because of the holiday, I moved it forward a couple of days. And then I'll do a demo on line by line how to go through the application form for Kiva. So again, visit us at bit.ly/DSLBD Eventbrite to sign up for all those. And I'll repeat these at the end again. So what is Kiva? Kiva is a nonprofit organization that started in 2005 and works both in the United States and abroad to help entrepreneurs access the capital that they need. And they focus generally on businesses and individual entrepreneurs who are having barriers to accessing that capital. And they do so in 3 ways. They provide the crowdfunding loans, which what I think might be the most favorable terms in the industry. I'm not quite sure, but I have a feeling they are, because it's 0% interest and 0% fees for loans between $1,000 and $15,000, and you have 12 to 36 months to repay. It's pretty fast turnaround. Once you have a complete application into Kiva, they will process it within about 2 weeks and have you starting your online campaign. If you complete the campaign, you successfully raise the money, you'll get your loan payment within about 2 to 7 days. So it's pretty fast, 60 days altogether. Another way they help businesses is have those loans or the crowdfunding happening through their Kiva.org platform, which has about 2 million visitors, individuals, organizations who are looking to support small businesses like yours. So it's a great exposure beyond your own network of friends and family to get people to support your business. And finally, Kiva partners with organizations like DSLPD to operate hubs, and we have a DC Kiva hub. And the advantage of being a business applying for a Kiva loan in a Kiva hub is that you'll have a faster review, you'll have more wraparound services and assistance, which I'll speak about in a minute. We, DSLBD, and our partners will help promote you. You'll promote yourself, but we'll add on to that so you're not alone in getting the word out about your campaign on Kiva. And finally, we're working to encourage matching funds that while you're raising money from individuals, we'll try and find larger organizations and banks to match those so you can get your required loan amount a lot faster. And the good news is that if you complete the application and follow everything I say in this workshop, or pretty close, you have a 95% chance of getting your loan approved, a loan funded, and sent out the door within that 60 days. So it's a very good success rate with Kiva. Here's who can apply for a Kiva loan through the DC Kiva Hub. You need to be a DC resident exploring entrepreneurship or a DC-based business that's already licensed and operating. You can be at any stage, any revenue, no revenue, any credit score. Because Kiva is focused on helping businesses and business owners who have barriers to access the capital, they are encouraging people who are having trouble accessing capital to sign up and try. That's why if you had past bankruptcies, that's not a problem. If you're formally justice exposed, that generally is not a problem. There are some that are excluded. If you've had a violent crime or financial crime within the last 5 years, or if you're a terrorist or sex offender, you would be excluded. Most businesses are allowed. There are some that are excluded, mostly because Kiva is able to get that free, no fee, because PayPal offers to do the processing of your loan into a bank account. But because of that, some of PayPal's requirements come along with it, and they exclude businesses that sell weapons or multi-level marketing, adult entertainment. If you have a CBD or hemp product, a hookah bar, or if tobacco is a primary product. If you're a restaurant that happens to sell tobacco or a convenience store that happens to sell tobacco, that's okay. But if you're a cigar bar, then it wouldn't be okay. There may be some more, and when you apply or express interest, I can help you figure out if your business is excluded or included. And here's a visual of that hub I was speaking about, the wraparound support. Here's you, the borrower, our most important person here. And then around you are people helping, either through the DC government, like DSLBD, or through trustees, nonprofit service providers, business incubators, business accelerators. They're helping you prepare to apply, as well as once you get the loan, helping you to improve your revenue stream so that you can repay that loan. Also here on this side, the right side, are the individual lenders, friends, family, the greater DC community, that 2 million lenders throughout the world looking at kiva.org. And then as well as the managed lenders, these are organizations and banks who might be providing matching funds to help you get to your goal a lot faster. So this is the whole Kiva hub that's part of DC Kiva hub at DSLBD. So a little bit about me. I'm Camille Nixon. I'm a project manager with DSLBD. I'm also the DC Kiva Hub Capital Access Manager. I'll be the first person to review your application. I'm also hopefully your go-to person with any question you have about Kiva or access to capital in general. Reach out to me. If I can't answer, I'll find the person who can. I'm part of the Innovation Equitable Development Team at DSLBD. I'm a native Washingtonian and a proud daughter of Caribbean immigrants who hustled like a typical West Indians do, multiple business enterprises going on at once to help us get a foothold and be stable financially in the country. I love a great story, especially ones that have a challenge or maybe it's not quite done yet. And then in many things are always unfolding. There's always a second, third, fourth chapter. So those are my favorite stories. And I get nervous about pitching because I just feel like I'm going to miss the key point. You'll hear me talk about keeping it simple. It's hard to keep it simple for me, so that's where I get a little bit nervous about pitching. I'm joined today by my colleague and manager, Kate. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, and hopefully everyone can hear me. I have taken the video, turned the video on, but I'm not sure if my system has caught up. My name is Kate Marion. I am the program manager for the Innovation and Equitable Development Department. This department has been around within DSLBD for about 5 years. Many different things we could say about entrepreneurship and this entire process, but on the topic of pitching, I'll tell you, and there's a framework that we can talk about another time if you really want to get more comfortable with pitching. It is as easy as 1, 2, 3, and we have a whole training on that we just did last week. So we have a video we could share from our Build Dream training. And the link that you see in the slide is actually for that. It's a 5-module training. You can download that and use it, and it has that framework for 1, 2, 3. And over 3,000 people in the district have gone through the Build a Dream training and gotten that sense of, how you can get on that road to pitching your business. It is nervous. I'll say every time that I talk to people, and I'm now really used to talking to people, sometimes when something important is on the line, I get nervous too. A lot of the big trick to it is just do it more and more and more and more often, and you get more and more and more comfortable. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kate. And that's true. I'm doing Money Mondays weekly, partly because I don't like speaking. So here I am speaking every week indefinitely. So I'd like to open up for you to unmute or through the chat to introduce yourselves to each other and to us. Share your name, if your business name, if you like as well, or if you have a business idea, a couple of words on what that is and what you love about pitching, or like me, what makes you nervous about pitching. And you can just unmute as you'd like, or if you drop in a pitch, I'd be happy to read it out loud if you prefer.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Hello, Aline. Hello. Welcome.
How are you? My name's Eileen Schleff, and my company is now called Creative Alliance Communications. It was built on all my years in the civil rights movement and Latino equity. And I'm not great at pitching for myself, but I train others to pitch. So I guess that's what it was. But we're at the intersection of good governance and communications. And very often I find websites don't match brochures, people don't know what they're doing. And I've actually had to deal with that myself. So I'm really excited to bring value to other people. And thank you.
Thanks, Eileen. And later we're going to have a slide about coordinating that whole pitch package. I love with your experience, feel free to unmute and share thoughts you have on that. Thank you. Who else would like to jump in and introduce themselves?
Well, saying as it looks like I'm the only other one.
Hey, Ken, please come on in.
All right, my name is Kent, and my business is Mentors and Makers. We are like WeWork, but with digital technology and tools. And I don't love anything about pitching. So, yeah, and Camila, I agree with you. I'm so afraid I'm going to forget the main points.
I know. I'm starting to feel better already. I've heard you say that, Kate say that, so I'm starting to feel better. I'm not alone in this. And just to read out loud, we have John Perry from GIS, initial development stage business, focused on geoscience education for adults. And everything makes you nervous about pitching. Okay. Well, we have lots of opportunities through Money Mondays, and Kate mentioned another on Wednesdays. We have a Lunch and Learn series that goes on. And if you can't join us in person live during the webinars, we always record them and post them to our YouTube, which we'll share later on. So we hope you'll take advantage of all those opportunities to learn and practice. I have Anthony Foster, CEO, joining us by chat of Clean My Place, LLC. Welcome, Anthony. Would anyone else like to say hello either by chat or by unmuting yourself? I'm gonna start calling out names. This is going to happen all workshop. Michelle, Trisha, Willette. Oh, here I have Michelle coming in. Oh, I love it. Vicky's Trinidad and Tobago Kitchen, brand new. My mom and I will be there, I'm sure. Great. Okay, well, we'll be having the chat again. It's open for you all the time. And as you ask questions or share information later, you can feel free to introduce yourself before you do that. That would be great. Okay.
Camille, just in case you hadn't noticed it, I think we had a call-in user join us.
Oh, that is new. Thank you for that, Kate. Is that Trisha? Trisha T, are you able to? I'm going to unmute you. Or maybe I can't. I've requested you to unmute.
Hi, I'm working, so I didn't want to be on camera.
Oh,
but,
that's fine. Oh, no, that's fine.
but
That's fine. Are you able to see the video, or would you like us to give you a
yes,
heads up?
I'm able to see. I'm
Oh,
I'm
perfect.
using my phone, and I can see the phone. I can see you all and also the PowerPoint.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Thank you. And I know, let's see, I think, is there anyone else? That's, we all spoke with Cred. Okay, great. Thank you for that. And that's completely fine. I just want to make sure that if you couldn't see anything, we could share stuff with you. So I'm going to give a quick roadmap of where we're going in the time that we have. Again, interactive workshop. I'll be asking questions and invite you to share information as we go along. So we'll be covering in this workshop funding pitch, Kiva's funding pitch, and also beyond that, how you can use the information you develop for Kiva elsewhere. There's a lot of components to pitching, but today we'll be focusing on personal story and your business description. I mentioned a little bit a while ago how they integrate with the other parts of your pitch. We'll go into where to get some inspiration for your Kiva online pitch and how to get feedback from each other, from us, from other service providers, and then other help that's out there that would be available to you as a DC business or DC resident. And then finally, where to apply for Kiva and your question and answers. I didn't get any pitches for feedback before the meeting. If at the end we have time and you want to copy and paste your pitch into the chat, we can share it that way, or we can, again, talk about how you can get feedback elsewhere beyond this webinar. And thank you for your registration form where you shared what you were hoping to get out of the workshop. It looks like we are covering a lot of the things that you did want to get out of the workshop today, including how to clearly communicate the essence of your business, specifically for finance requests, a persuasive pitch, both writing and best practices, and pitching to investors, attracting lenders for startups and for special projects. Perhaps you're trying to grow your business and you want to get money for a specific activity to help you pivot and expand. We'll be covering that. How to be informative, engaging, and memorable. We'll touch upon that, but I think that would be a deeper dive too that we could explore doing in the future. And getting a loan for starting a business, we'll definitely go into that, and being ready for Kiva loan. We'll talk about that generally, and then there'll be two opportunities next week on the 17th for that abridged 30-minute presentation on readiness for the application, as well as on the 7th of June, we'll do it again. Here are some topics that you mentioned that you hope to get out of the workshop, but I don't think we'll be covering in depth. But I want to let you know there are ways to get the information. Elevator pitching and pitch delivery skills, positioning your business for growth and expansion, promotion, attracting new customers and clients, networking, and education that can help your business grow. We can share that information by email, or you can meet with us, or visit the Eventbrite page that I shared earlier for trainings for that. So these are things that we can help you with, what we just might not cover in depth today. So let's get started. We'll go through what Kiva's funding pitch is, and then how you can repurpose that for other things. It's always nice to get right the first time and then use it elsewhere. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So Kiva's funding pitch has 4 parts: your photo, your personal story, the business description, and loan use, which actually loan use has 3 elements to it: the tagline, the purpose statement, and itemized use. And our goal through these interactive workshops that we're offering on Mondays and other days when there's a holiday is that we want you to have a really solid application the first time you submit it. That means your review time will be very short, and also you'll get to the fundraising a lot faster. And the most important thing is that when you're in the fundraising campaign, you'll get interested lenders to click and contribute at least $25 towards your campaign. And we're here to help you with all of those elements of the 4. Just to show you how the lender sees it, because of course that's what we're trying to do, write pitches that are attractive to lenders to click. When a lender first comes to kiva.org and they click lend, they'll come into a gallery of borrowers. So the photo that you share will appear, as well as the tagline, number 4, that'll be the tagline for your loan use. That will appear on this first gallery of borrowers page. And those are the 2 things, and when you come to the photo workshop, you'll hear me talk about what it takes to make people want to click on that photo. Because between that and the tagline, that's all you got to entice them. But once they do click through, they'll come to your individual pitch page, and this has everything that you put for your pitch: your photo, your tagline, of course, but also your personal story, your business description, and then some more details about your loan use. The purpose statement's the key thing. The itemized use plays in here a little bit. It's mostly in the back end as well, in the application of what Kiva sees. But Kiva's actually US is the one who's looking to see whether to approve you for a campaign. So I'll talk about how that's integrated when we have the loan use workshop in the future. So when you're thinking about the pitch, you develop a great photo, a personal story that's integrated with your business description and your ask. It's very compelling. Don't let it stop just for Kiva. You can use this in a lot of other places. You can use it on your website, your social media, video thumbnails, mailers. Eileen mentioned sometimes as she's reviewing her clients' information, she sees something maybe inconsistent. It's good to kind of have the same photo appearing in a couple of places. It helps with your brand. Your personal story, business description, and loan use information, all of those can definitely be reused in a lot of different places. Your website About Us page, when you're developing in-person pitches, elevator pitches, you can excerpt from your Kiva pitch, competitions to get additional funding, grant applications. And the great thing about writing your Kiva pitch is that you're forced to keep it kind of short. And if you're applying for a grant reviewers like it short too. So having a brief pitch for Kiva translates into having an effective pitch that will be read when people are reviewing your grant applications. Loan applications similarly, and investor pitches. I'd like to pause here and think, knowing that these are the 4 components of an online pitch for Kiva, can you think of other ways that you might reuse your Kiva pitch elsewhere? And feel free to put it in the chat or mute. Marketing materials, yep. And that could be print or online. You might be buying ad space on social media sites. It could be electronic or print materials. If you're doing a video clip of yourself, you could be speaking from a couple of bullets for that excerpt from your Kiva pitch. In your business plan, if you do a rebranding or reorganization of your business plan, you can add it in there. If you haven't started your business plan, this is a place where they can help you start narrowing down that information. I just saw one this morning, Kiva Barr, who became a Certified Business Enterprise CBE. I read his CBE profile, and lo and behold, it looks a lot like his Kiva pitch, which is completely fine. He's consistent. And I know that the values he set 4 years ago are the same ones that he's holding true in his business today. Social media and meeting people, having that lock. One person asked in the registration form to have an elevator pitch. Having this pitch for Kiva will help you get to that 5-minute pitch when you're meeting people, and how to customize it depending on who you're speaking with. Oh, yes, capability statements for government contractors. And if you're not familiar with that, often if you're bidding on a contract or trying to make a connection with with a contracting officer who receives bids for contracts with the government and also private contracts, they want a one-pager that really gets to the point: who you are, what you sell, who you've sold to in the past, what distinguishes you from other businesses. And several of those elements do appear in your pitch prep for Kiva. And background information for anticipated news interviews. So media likes it short too. And having it short and having it intentional is helpful, because you will have to, once you do your draft for a Kiva pitch or for any pitch, you kind of have to narrow it down, tighten it up, make it cohesive. Having that language already locked and loaded and comfortable, when you get a media opportunity to speak, you can just spurt it right out. So thank you, John and Kate and everyone else, and Eileen, who contributed information for some other ways that you can use the Kiva pitch beyond just applying for a Kiva loan. So again, we'll be focusing today on personal story and business description. And there are other in-depth workshops on photo and loan use, so I encourage you to attend those as well. So personal story. These are the key principles that you should be looking at when you're developing your personal story, and we'll go through each one of them. But I just wanted to rest here for a moment to kind of absorb what they are: your background, your journey, and I mean you individual. There'll be a discussion about your business, but this is just you individually as a person. Your entrepreneurship education, with education in quotes, because it could mean a lot of different things. Did you experience a personal problem or an issue? And was your effort to fix that leading to a business solution? And do you have an attitude of a winner? And you'll hear this a couple of times: keeping it simple, you've heard that already, but also being honest. So this is all part of your personal story. And the personal story about who you are, you can opt or not opt to share a lot of details. Sometimes the more is better, and I'll tell you why sometimes you may not want to. But any information where you grew up, your heritage, are you a veteran-owned business, are you a woman-owned business, that information is optional, but it might be helpful to include because might resonate with the readers, the lenders who are looking to support you. They might see themselves in you or a friend that they have. Your story reminds you of their friend's story. So giving some information is helpful about who you are personally. And what's that journey that got you to start a business? I don't think most people wake up thinking, I'm going to start a business and not have steady employment with an employer. There's something that happened in your personal life that made you start thinking, I think running my own business might be an option, something I want to consider. What was that as far as your journey? And I had mentioned entrepreneurship education in quotes because it could be actual formal education. You go get a license or you go get classes, maybe even go to college, but also on the job training, watching your mother, your grandmother do something. That's all part of like how you start building the skills and interest towards that business idea that you have or the business that you're currently operating. I mentioned the fixing the issue or the gap, something that happened in your life that you were trying to solve that led you to start the business. And attitude of the winner is people love a comeback story. It's painful to be in a situation where you have adversity, the struggle is real, and it's hard to find that to be celebratory. But if you can write about how you came out of that, or if you're still in it, that's also fine too. But showing that there was some adversity and how you have or working on getting through that is helpful to making the personal story real and how to connect it to your business description, which we'll speak about in a second. So keeping it personal, writing in the first person is always great. Keeping it short, 7 to 10 sentences, but those sentences should be fairly short as well. I mentioned if you don't feel comfortable sharing background about yourself, beyond just, where you grew up and your heritage, maybe you just don't want to say anything. There might be safety reasons why you want to remain anonymous, and that's completely fine. We don't want you balancing your personal safety with the need to get financing and share a lot of information. So if that's the case for you, connect with me and we can walk through how you can still complete your Kiva application without giving any personal story or a lot of information in your personal story. And we encourage you to be honest. There's no need to embellish on anything. Just keeping it real, I think, is the most important thing. I'm going to pause here for a second. A question came in. Do you think it's feasible to reference being a returning citizen with Kiva as an Aspire participant? And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. Kiva is designed to help, well, anyone who wants to have funding for their business, but they really put a lot of effort and focus on people who may have barriers or businesses who may have barriers to accessing capital. And if you are justice involved, that's a barrier. And in particular, working with, and he mentioned, Mr. Foster mentioned Aspire. We Aspire, which is our returning citizen or justice involved program for businesses and business owners who've been involved in the justice system. So absolutely, I mentioned at the top, there are a couple of justice involved experiences which would prohibit you. But as far as once you get approved for this to go into your personal story, I would definitely share that if you feel comfortable to the extent that you do feel comfortable. Anything else that you think you might want to share in a personal story? And while you're thinking on that, ask again. I'll share an example, two examples actually, to show you how some other borrowers who were successful in Kiva, how they wrote their personal story. So I won't read the whole thing. I will pause a little bit here and highlight some things. As you see, Jody starts off by saying, I am. She's using the first person. And she shares initially her personal challenge that she had, her issue that she tried to fix. She had a severe injury, and she found that massage therapy was what brought her relief. As she continued to work in the sports field or travel with sports, she discovered a community challenge that there are other athletes who also have that similar pain and they need personal healing physically or spiritually, but they have a challenge there. and her entrepreneurial education brought her to get licensed as a therapist. I like the way that she noted that she got educated by her clients. What they needed helped educate her of what she should perform on and train on, as well as working in different places on the job training brought her some experience as well. And then she ends with how she got to her business to open finally and her passion. Here I highlight this because of her passion. I did excerpt this, so it's an abbreviated version and paraphrased in some places. So feel free to visit her full story to see the whole thing. Then you can see how there are elements that might be helpful for you as well in your story. I'm looking at a couple of questions. Should only include relevant information. I mean, come off mute, John, if I didn't get this right. It should be relevant information, so it shouldn't be a long story about your life. Don't be your uncle at the reunion. Keep it short. But I would say when you're first writing it, and I'll talk about this later too, just write on a computer or on a piece of paper, just write, and then start to edit back. And we'll talk about how this story plus the other three parts of the Kiva are integrated. So as you try to integrate them, you'll start to see things that would be nice to share, but you might need to cut for editing and also to keep the readers focused, because you want to keep hitting on the message in your personal story and your business description, everything, loan use. You're hitting the same points in different ways, but you're hitting the same points over and over. So don't be too constrained when you're first writing. Just write, and then we'll talk about how you can edit it down and then start to do it. We all feel kind of, some of us feel nervous about like leaving out the best points, but we do have to narrow it down some because readers won't read everything. They may frankly, they'll probably start trailing off after the first two sentences. So you want to kind of load those up and then have them have a hook so they can get to the next 3 or 4 sentences.
Camille, can I jump in with a question?
Please do, yeah.
On that? So, I mean, I think, what, in terms of relevant info, and when we think about how the personal story is relevant info, I tend to think about it as a great way for investors to see your why. Why are you invested in doing this thing? But I want to make sure that that just sort of lines up with the way in which you're thinking about this, because if it's relevant to your why and for like people to emotionally relate to your why, then it's often a very relevant piece, at least in my opinion.
Thanks, Kate. That's a great point. And there's a great video that's come out about telling your story and getting to your why. If we have time, I'll put it in the chat. I'll definitely include it in the email when I send it out. It's now on Amazon Prime, and it was featured on a couple of websites and by a couple of providers last month. But Kate, speaking about getting to the why, people, it used to be, I guess there's always been a need for a why, but people would be like thinking, oh, if you just show them a great quality product, the great customer service, they're going to spend their money with me. And they probably will. But more and more people want the why you started your business, why are you in my community, why are you helpful to me, trying to answer the crux of why you're in business more than just how to make money. That why is actually the hook more and more often for investors. So that's something that your personal story can help contribute to answering that why. I'm going to share one more personal story. This is a shorter version. This is Taylor, who opened That's Tasty, which is also a baked or a food business. And here are some of the points that she shared. I'm going to be quiet so y'all can read and then come off mute or go through chat and let me know, what do you think this makes, why this is an effective personal story to include on Kiva? So looking at the first bullet, what about that first bullet? She grew up in Michigan with her mom and grandmothers. What about that was worth sharing? How did that make her story effective? We mentioned earlier kind of the skill building. and the interest, the passion, where it came from. It's helpful to see family baking history, experience, recipes. Exactly. It's nice to see that the baking idea just didn't come out of anywhere. That where did it come from? That's part of her why. Her love of baking with her family, and that carried on to now as an adult. Family values, that's right. And values for people vary, of course, greatly. But this is something where someone, Michigan, I'm not from Michigan, but someone else who's reading this might be like, Michigan, yeah, Midwest. That will lock them in and like, oh yeah, I remember watching my grandmother make some things. That locks in your lender. These are things letting your lender kind of get to know you, but also see things that resonate with them that might make them want to click and give money. Further down, she mentioned going from tiny college kitchens to office break rooms to cookies. That only shows the trajectory, the evolution of her business, how she came to start wanting to bake. But it tells me she's able to bake anywhere. Like, no matter what's happening, Taylor's going to be baking. So she's able to be resilient and move through different scenarios where she's been baking. For anyone who asked for it or did not ask for it, she's going to bake regardless. Anything else that you saw that made this an effective personal story?
I guess her willingness to go for something new after losing her job.
Yes, yes. And that's the attitude of a winner that I mentioned earlier, exactly, that she lost her job. And during the pandemic when a lot of people have lost their jobs. So you lost your job and you may have any place else to go to. What are you gonna do? And she had the perseverance to tap into a skill, a passion that she had, and look about turning it into a skill. Thank you. Anything else on the last bullet that made you think that this is an effective personal story? Or anything else? So I saw when I read the last bullet, I'm like, exaggerated versions of cookies. What's that? I was like, oh, I wonder if she's pitching up for a unique business product, something that we haven't seen before. And unfortunately, I didn't bring her business description alongside this. I'll have to go back and reference, but I was wondering if she was starting to queue up that she has something very unusual about her cookies. So thanks for playing the game of what made this effective. And we're going to move now on to business description. Actually, before I do, does anyone have any questions about personal story or comments they'd like to share before we move on to business description?
Emil, are they always in bulleted form like that?
Oh, they're not. Actually, most of I'll move to the example here. Most of them are, when your story is put onto Kiva, they can be in paragraphs, and they're usually about that width, and then just one paragraph after another. You probably are going too long if you hit two paragraphs, but they will be in paragraph form. I just bulleted this because I realized we're halfway through the deck and you've seen a lot of text on the screen. So I was trying to make it easier to read, but no, they won't be bulleted.
Mhm.
Okay, looking at the time, we'll move into business description. So similar, I'll pause here just to read through. It sounds pretty obvious what you sell, for whom you're selling it, what's your distinguishing factor about your business. Because someone might be reading your description going, I've seen bakeries before. What's different about your bakery? You want to start to highlight that here in your business description. Similar to the personal story, you're raising an issue that you identified for a business issue, specifically not a personal issue, and then how your business can offer a solution to that. Um, how you got from your passion, perhaps personally, about your business idea, how that became a business or you're about to start the business, and what your trajectory is in your near term. It doesn't have to be your future dreams for 10 years from now, but kind of like where you're going fairly soon. And that has a positive impact for you, your employees, your community, your clients. And again, the resounding theme of attitude of a winner, honesty, and keeping it simple. So go a little bit deeper. Obviously, you should lead with your name. I thought that was obvious, but I saw a couple and I didn't see the name till someplace in the middle of a paragraph. I'm like, oh, I didn't know who they were. So if you do have a business name, lead with that. If you don't, that's fine. You can just start off the business I plan to have will. That's fine. So there are a lot of people on Kiva who have not started the business yet, and that's completely fine. What you sell, but the product and the service, and for whom you sell it. Definitely specify your target market. You can say your market, it's everyone, but it's very trite, and also people don't believe that. So it might be that everyone might buy yours, you want everyone to buy, but who specifically are you targeting is important to dive into that. In just a sentence, ideally. Again, what makes your business different from others? Are you selling something that wasn't previously there, or maybe a version of it? Have you done something unique? Yes, maybe you're doing delivery of products to people's homes, but you're doing it on an electric bike. So yeah, it's a delivery business, but you're saving your gas emissions because you're doing it in an eco-friendly way. That's something that's unique about either your product, service, or how you provide it. So you want to add that here in your description. A solution to identify problem and gap. So what was it that gave you the idea, oh my gosh, I need to start a business? You've been in the situation, you probably have done this as you started your business now, that you're thinking, wow, I can do this better, or someone needs to do this different, or there are people here who aren't being served, I can serve them. What is that identified problem or gap that you saw? And then go into how your business will help solve it, or is already helping solve it and fill the gap. The history of your business, very briefly, but people like to know what date you started, how you started to grow. You came from a small operation, maybe just one or two farmers markets. Now you're bigger. You were a subcontractor on an event, a project. Now you're a subcontractor or a prime. People like to see that. And also be honest, if you've had a business experience, you had a bankruptcy, or you lost funds, or you had to move out of your space, that is all real information people love to hear, because they want to give you money to help fight back, help have a comeback. So be honest about any challenges that you've had as a business owner and how you hope your trajectory will change with the help of the loan, and how the impact will be on family and friends. How, if I give money for your business, how will your business have a positive impact on your immediate family or friends or the community of DC at large? Again, going back to the example I gave, showing perseverance through adversity, whether it's that you've survived COVID, or you're coming out of not being unemployed, or just as exposed. How is your business going to be an example of moving through adversity, and then resilience? I saw a question or a comment here. Oh, yes, this is a great. Thank you, Eileen, for sharing that. Eileen shared that she has a service business, and sometimes it's hard to get people excited about service. And sometimes it's hard to write and even to photograph a service business. When you have a product that's something tangible, people use their consuming it, almost a lot of people buy it, but the services are somewhat harder sometimes. I can work with you one-on-one, and I'm thinking we might even have a class for service businesses, a networking opportunity for a Monday about service businesses. But you can promote and feature services. There are many service businesses on Kiva. I would say with service, similar, the focusing on what the gap is and where you're filling it. Because sometimes as people are describing things, I'm like, I did not know I needed that. I did not know I needed someone to do precision cutting on my grass. But now that I've seen it, and I can appreciate it. So having something just to kind of hit on the gap and how you're filling it, and how you can alleviate something, a challenge in their life. Maybe they don't have the time to cut the grass. That's me. What your business can do to resolve that. Maybe I've been burnt on other experiences. I've hired a transportation company. They've lost my stuff and moving. Your business is not going to do that, and here's why. So try to think of what the pressure points are and how your service business could address them might be an approach. And I'll pause here. Kate, did you have some feedback on how to help promote a service business and write about them in a way that gets people excited?
Yeah, and I think sometimes when folks are approaching Kiva, you may have your full business plan, you may be working on your business plan. We know that, for some services, who your market and your target market is very clear. But the other thing that we see for a lot of our social impact businesses is who the recipient of your services is very clear, but who is going to pay for your service may be less clear. So if you are targeting a market where ability to pay is a challenge, that doesn't mean that you can't have a business and that someone isn't going to pay for it. But sometimes who's paying you and who's receiving the service are different groups, and that sometimes is something to help iron out. And ironing out that piece of the business model might be helpful for the pitch. And it also, if you go through other types of pitches, might be something, or customer discovery, something you learn through that process.
That's a great point, and you officially made it official in my mind. We need to have a section just on service businesses because there are scenarios where you're providing a helpful service to a community group, but someone else is paying for that. You want to be clear because as I'm a lender thinking, okay, but who's going to pay for this? That's what's going through their head. So that's the question that Kate suggested that you answer about your service business. I think would be great. I'm gonna put this in your social. And then John asks for number 6, which is positive impact on family, friends, and community. Broader impact, social benefits, yes. And actually, let me jump to the example, and that might help explain it a little bit. And if not, please unmute or go back in the chat and let me know. So this is O Earth Creamery and Bake House. And if you join us next Monday at 2 p.m. for the Kiva kickoff, you'll be able to hear Annette speak. Just right off of the top, I want to share that her business description is really long, and it's kind of because she didn't have a personal story. So you'll see as we're reading through it, it kind of hits both the personal story and the business description, which may give us some leeway for the lender that it's twice as long, but they're also only reading one of the two things. So she starts off by sharing when she started, 2015. And I love that she mentioned her gratitude. It's actually a much longer gratitude statement. I paraphrased this. You can see her full story at that link below. But she starts off of saying who she's grateful to, which is very helpful because the lenders want to feel like you're grateful for their support when the time comes. So she's modeling that she's grateful for people's support in her business. She zones in on the specific product that she's selling, gluten-free and dairy-free items, as well as sprouted nuts and seeds are used for creamery products. And then she talks about the issue or the problem that she's solving. She has herself issues with eating gluten-free and dairy products, and she felt realized she felt better, and that led her to want to start a business that produced similar things for other people. She shared her passion and her values as far as trying to find things to help other people and her experimentation to get there and her sense of personal responsibility. Everyone can eat and should eat well, and she wants to be a part of that. Part of that, number 6, the community impact. In her case, she's looking at creating low carbon foods that taste great, and also that this is something that she'll be doing for a while to make sure that there's a future where everyone can eat well and be healthy doing so. So that's kind of the greater impact. Will she be selling to everyone? Hopefully. But her goal is that this is an option that's made available to people who have challenges eating food that have gluten or lactose in it. And then she ends with her challenge, which is great because right below your business description in Kiva is your loan use, your purpose of the loan. So she talks about her twofold challenge. She's trying to get her stuff out to a wider market and also be able to make the production cost to get that to happen as she's scaling up. And she had an opportunity for 2 farmers markets that were coming up, but she just did not have the funds to fund that production. So she went to Kiva. And her backstory is that she actually went through the process really quickly. I think her open campaign she was approved for her loan application. The campaign went public on a Monday. She got so much support. It closed on Wednesday. She had the money from Kiva by Friday, and by Sunday she was out of market. So that was a exceptionally fast turnaround. It does happen fairly fast in Kiva, but that's something that attributes to this particular business story / personal story, that she hit upon the points of keeping honest, keeping real, showing a growth, showing a perseverance, an attitude of a winner, and be able to convey what she sells and who would be impacted by that. So one last round of what makes this effective. And this is Ronald, this is a pitch he had from 2017 that he actually successfully completed. Now in 2021, he's a CBE business. So he has grown significantly since he first pitched this. But quickly looking at some of these bullet points, anything on here that stands out to you why that his business description was effective with this text? Or what you might do differently if you were to rewrite it for him? I'm seeing right off of the top, he's zoning in on who he's serving, both commercial businesses and also people who need to move from place to place. I've noticed in subsequent descriptions that he shared, he specified commercial versus residential. He speaks about some of the pressure points I mentioned as an example of a service business, the pressure points that his customers experience, having affordable costs, timely transportation. He covered all the things you worry about in a business model. So case referencing when you're looking at a business plan, he's touching upon all the things that an investor might look at, like who are you selling to, what are you selling, what makes you different, how are you going to distinguish yourself from other similar businesses. He speaks about handling the risk, whether it's importing, exporting, or relocating your items. I mentioned the example of having your stuff lost and having it perhaps even broken. He's talking about people are worried about that. He's there for that. And helping the client through the whole life cycle of you're planning your project and you're trying to figure out the best, you're planning your move and trying to find the best options to handle that move. One thing I would say is I noticed at the very end, he said for both shipping and storage. I'm like, oh, storage, you do shipping and storage. Oh, so that was in there for sure. I might have suggested he mentioned that up at top. He offers shipping and storage services. Maybe some people think that's inherent with shipping. It wasn't for me, but that's something where I gave the example of when you're reading, right, just write at first, write, and then start to edit. But notice if you mention down here that you do two things, double back and say, did you start that at the top? Did you also say shipping and storage at the top? So kind of to the point of like editing down, but also hammering home the essence of your business, the why of your business, how you're different, and the impact that you'll make. A quick question, is a different work of, oh, okay. Thanks, Kate. So here we have about 5 more minutes. I wanted to land on that integration I mentioned a couple of times. There are 4 distinct parts of your Kiva application with the loan use picking up 2 parts, tagline, loan purpose, and itemized use. But you do want to have them all come together. And this example, this slide I'll share with you that for your personal story, like when you're writing and mentioning who you are, you want to have a photo that replicates that. Say that you're mentioning that you're enthusiastic and happy, you're very passionate. Your photo should have you smiling ideally. If you do mention some of your information as an individual, your heritage, your veteran owned, if you put that in your personal story, you might want to consider putting that in your tagline where you have the opportunity to have about, I think it's about 80 characters where you say this loan will help. So maybe this loan will help an immigrant-owned woman business get money to do something. So you might want to consider having that owner detail that you mentioned in your personal story, 1 or 2 words in your loan tagline. Again, your personal adversity and experiences could be the cue up for your business description where you're showing, I went through something personally and now I'm in a better position to do this as my business. As a business owner, I've already gone through this personally. In the case of the business who had personal injury experience as an athlete, she's probably a better massage therapist and spa owner because she knows what it's like to have constant pain. For the business description, if you're mentioning in your description that you and someone else is an owner, you want to make sure your photo features both of you. Also, if you have a photo with 8 to 10 people, I'm looking at the photo going, who are those other people? Are they customers? Are they other owners? So you want to kind of align who you're talking about in your business description as far as ownership and who is featured in the photo. Generally, Kiva only wants the owner or owners in the photo. There are some exceptions I've seen, but that's the goal. And when we do the photo workshop, we could tell you more about that. What you're selling, again, you want to feature it to some extent. You might have a broad range of products and you can't show everything, but you want to show something. We mentioned for services, sometimes that's a challenge and we can work with you on that. If you're a trucking company, you can show a picture of you in front of a truck. If you're doing website work, you in front of your screen with your website information on there. There are different ways that we could talk through how we can address what is sometimes a challenge of featuring what you describe in your business description and showing that in your picture. The challenge that you experience in your business, what is it that your business is solving? you want that to be part of your loan use statement. Your business is helping people who are have a gluten allergy get gluten-free products. I need a loan to buy these more expensive gluten-free uh, raw materials to put into my products. So you want to kind of start connecting in your loan use statement what you reference back in your business description. And then finally, the community impact, how your community will benefit from this. Again, what you've said in your business description that you're helping people who are underemployed, how you're going to use that money in your loan to hire those underemployed people. And this integration, again, don't get overwhelmed in your writing. I would suggest just writing everything separately and then start to pull it together. It can be overwhelming. I would have in the front of your mind, you want to integrate it, but don't be weighed down by it, because it's something that I think will happen as you start to read it over a second, third time, share it with friends and family, bring it to DSLBD. Kate, myself, other team members would be happy to read it and help you kind of start narrowing it down, and finding those connections. And then part of my role when I'm doing the first review before I send it off to Kiva for the final loan and review, I'll point out some things as a suggestion. I might suggest, hey, you might want to tie these two things together, or I see something off. You mentioned storage down here. You didn't mention anything storage elsewhere. You might want to close that loop so people don't get confused. I think lenders want to help small businesses. They're not looking to poke holes in your description, but sometimes when there's something that's not quite cohesive between different parts of it, it starts them kind of wondering what's up, not in a bad way, but it leaves them with a pause. And you want to leave them with enthusiasm, like they can't wait to finish reading the description and then click yes, lend 25 or more. So it's not the end of the world if it's not completely consistent, but I think it helps keep the momentum going so they're enthusiastic and ready to support you. And for interest of time, I'll end there. I do want to end fairly close on time. And please, I'll actually stop before I go into the inspiration. Any questions on those last two sections, or the three sections, personal story, business, or integration? And if you come up, oh, you're very welcome. If you come up with questions afterwards, I'll show you in a moment how to connect with us. So quickly, the best place to find inspiration are other examples from Kiva. Just go to kiva.org and you'll see a whole range of businesses. You can narrow down to US businesses or see them worldwide. One thing I would suggest, you might want to zone in on the ones that were funded. Not that the ones that are currently in funding don't have great descriptions, but if you want to see which ones were actually able to get to their funding challenge, when you click on kiva.org, there's a filter here in the upper right corner rather. This filter here, if you click on that, on the left side, this long list of filter options will appear. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can select the loan status option of funded, and that will just show you the ones who did get funded. Another source of inspiration are some of the Shark Tank, and we're going to have a list soon with all the different online videos and TV shows that you can watch for some inspiration. They're mostly based on video and in-person pitches, but it gives you an idea of something and how to start telling your story. Thanks, Sejun. Again, I mentioned for feedback, and thank you, Kate, for posting that. You can connect with me at local.kiva.org if you'd like me to review your story, your business description, or any component of your application. You can meet with myself and other Ed team members. We all have a lot of experience. Well, actually, Kate has the most experience, but we all have different experience with pitching and writing your story and conveying information about your business. So you're welcome to meet with us by phone or by web. Again, on Mondays, one of the things we have coming up in the future are virtual pitch practices where you help each other in different breakout rooms. And we'll also be letting you know how you connect with local Kiva trustees. You may have seen in a couple of slides, Mess Hall, which is a local Kiva trustee. It's a business incubator for food businesses, and they help their businesses with prepping for pitches as well. Here again is our contact information. If you're looking in general about Kiva, they have great guides for you as a borrower at kivaushub.org/borrower, and of course the campaigns. And our whole ecosystem of business service providers. If you live in a great city, you're opting to open your business in a great city because we have lots of free things to help you. So in addition to DSLBD and our partners on DC Kiva Hub, check out the businesstoolkit.com, which has a calendar. You can just get there directly by bit.ly/DC Business Calendar. Tons of classes, workshops, networking opportunities around pitch, and other ways to focus in on the why and the promotion of your business at dcbusinesstoolkit.com. And finally, this is all leading to applying for a loan. So here's the link. You're welcome to get started now. A lot of people start their application, kind of work through it one by one. There's no particular rush, but you're welcome to get started. And again, we'll be having a workshop in the coming weeks on a deep dive, line by line, how to complete that application. I mentioned the photo workshop at the top, so we'll be doing another photo workshop on the 2nd. This is a Wednesday, not Monday, because Monday is Memorial Day. So we'll be doing the Monday on Wednesday on photos on June 2nd. And also in 2 weeks after our DC Kiva Hub launch, I'll do the loan use, the tagline, the purpose of the loan, the itemized use. We'll do a similar interactive workshop on that. And the live demo for the applications on the 14th at 3 p.m. We invite you to join us next week for our Kiva launch, and we appreciate that you joined us for this week as well. The compelling loan use is coming up again. I mentioned that. The demo the following 2 weeks from now, and then the photo. And these will all be in your slide deck when we send them to you.